So that was really a nice intro screen. Hello, everyone. So nice to meet you all. We have our Q2 VictoriaMetrics virtual meetup. And today with me, I'm Artem, one of the co-founders of VictoriaMetrics. And today with me, guys, do you want to present yourself?
Sure, I'm top left, at least on my screen. So my name's Mark Sherwood. I'm from our marketing team, and I'm wearing one of our fancy new VictoriaMetrics Hawaiian shirts. So that's thanks for having me on board, Artem.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it looks really fancy. Let me jump in. My name is Fred Andruzov. I'm representing VictoriaMetrics Anomaly Detection team. Nice to have me here. And hello, everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Denis. I'm from marketing team, and I will share something from community perspective today.
And hello everyone, my name is Alex. I'm software engineer at VictoriaMetrics Cloud team. I'm going to tell you today about using AI assistants with monitoring.
Okay, hi everyone. Super happy to be here. I'm Jose. I'm the product lead for Cloud. And yeah, I will tell you about some updates we are having. Yeah, it's great to be in this great event. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Alex Valyalkin, and I will talk to you about VictoriaLogs updates today.
Okay, thank you, folks. First comment, Mark. Matthias, like your t-shirt. I completely agree with him. I believe I will tell about the agenda a little bit later. Let us have some warm-up session and wait until people. So, with Regol, let's talk about weather. I'm in Krakow, about 23 Celsius, a little bit windy, extremely nice weather, not so hot, not so cold. You can walk in t-shirt and shorts, and that's really nice. Jose?
Yeah, I'm located in Madrid, in Spain, and here is 33 Celsius, and unfortunately it's going to be the coldest for the rest of the summer, I guess. But yeah, so I have like a huge fan on the top of my head. So if you see my hair moving, that's why. What about you, Alex?
Me?
Alex?
Marshall. Which Alex?
Okay, let it be me. I'm in Montenegro, in Podgorica. It's really hot outside, like 33 or something like that. It's sunny. Yeah. Alex?
Yeah, I'm in Krakow, like in Artem, and I agree with him that the weather is good here. It's perfect, I would say. 23 degrees, not so hot, not so cold, and that's great weather. And there are no rain.
Yeah, almost the same for me. I'm also located in Poland, in Wrocław, also 23 or something above it. No wind. It smells like summer, but the bad thing is for people like me who suffers from allergic reaction that we have some blossoming things all around. So I need to take care of it. But overall, it looks really great over the window.
Sounds like I can't complain about the weather. I'm in Vancouver, BC, and it's right now 14 degrees and perfectly comfortable. I spent the weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina, where it was in the 90s Fahrenheit and humidity. I melted. So being back in this weather is a real treat. But we've started our fire season. So there's about 1,000 wildfires burning right now that are going to be smoking out the city soon. So I'll enjoy this clean air while I can.
Yeah, Mark, are you talking about Celsius degrees or Fahrenheit degrees? Because as I know, Americans use Fahrenheit degrees.
In Canada, we switch. We use both. Talking to Canadians or mostly Europeans, we'll use Celsius. But we have to be able to flip back and forth, at least in one direction, to make it make sense to our friends south of the 49th. So
What's
yeah, it was
really
90.
great
Yeah, 90 freedom units when I was in North Carolina, and it's 14 Canadian units Celsius here.
Nice.
Yeah, what is great is that it's not Kelvin degrees. Otherwise, it will be too cold.
Fair play.
Denise, I believe you are the last one.
Yeah. So today I'm talking from Ukraine, personally from Ternopil city, and today it's a little stormy and there is windy, but the weather seems like okay, and it is like 20 degrees Celsius, so pretty nice day to talk about VictoriaMetrics. I mean.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. About our agenda. So for today, we are going to cover the following 4 topics. First, VictoriaMetrics roadmap update by me. This representation has been prepared by Roman, but Roman has lost his voice. That's why I'm replacing him. After that, so Roman, thank you for the work. Next one, Alexander Marshalov going to talk about AI assistant and how to use it with your monitoring system. After that, we have anomaly detection updates by Fred. After Fred, Jose will talk about cloud updates, and Alexander Valyalkin about VictoriaLogs. Some spoiler, we have a huge announcement. After that, we have community news by Mark and Denise, and in the end, AMA session. This doesn't mean that we are not going to answer a question during our talks, but that's some dedicated time in the end where you can ask anything, and we'll try to answer these things. Okay, let us start. And Fox, I will remove you from stage and leave only myself and Roman's presentation. So, what is new in VictoriaMetrics in Q2 2025? There will be a couple of really great news, and also I will try to express my personal opinion about the stuff. First, and really important, 3 new people joined our open source team. That's Max Kotlyar and Artem Minchikov. They work in open source. Max is focusing on backend engineering and as well improving the processes that we have. That should result into even better communication in open source and easiest channel to provide the feedback and receive it from us. Artur is focusing on UI updates. You probably already saw his work on live tailing in VictoriaLogs, data sources, and stuff like that. And last but not least, Maciej. He joined support team. And you also can see it in our Slack channel and GitHub issues. If you're not in our Slack channel, feel free to join. Slack.victoriametrics.com, and that's how you can receive the invitation and join our public Slack. Next slide. We released 6 releases from 1.14 to 1.19. Besides that, a lot of bug fixes and releases in LTS. So as you probably know, we do 1 release bi-weekly, and this includes new upstream release, and we port all bug fixes to our LTSs. Just a small reminder that lifetime for every LTS in 1 year, and we cut new LTS every 6 months. The next one will be in the end of July. About new features. First one, my second favorite one. Previously, we add track name API to VictoriaMetrics open source. Sometimes we name it unused metrics. If you enable flag and specify the duration or parameter, VictoriaMetrics start tracking usage of metric names. Yeah, and this feature is integration between these tracking names API and Cardinality Explorer. What it means, if you specify this flag and open Cardinality Explorer, you will see two new columns. This is request count and last request count. Extremely useful because you have your your metrics with the high cardinality and how often they are part of the requests. And having this data together allow you to delete some metrics if you want, drop them, or at least understand the usage pattern. Second column, last request, also really nice one. So that's just information about the last execution where this metrics, like, is it over some recording rules, alerting rules, or query visualization. And if you see some seconds or minutes, most likely this metric is part of the alerting or recording rules. If you see some hours, days, or even more, that means that it's part of the Grafana dashboards or visualization, some kind of the visualization, and regularly it's not automation. It's some people call this metrics. Again, really recommend to upgrade to 1.18, if I'm not mistaken, and try this feature. It costs you $0. And if you ask me about the performance, don't worry about performance. It's like you will notice nothing because that's only metric names. Even for setups with 1 billion of active time series, it's just 10,000 or 100,000 metrics names. We store it in memory, no impact. Next feature, it's usability feature by Max Cutler. And these improvements in VM agent and how it discovers protocol for the communication. You probably know that we have, so VM agent can talk to remote write via Prometheus remote write or VictoriaMetrics remote write. The difference is in compression, and in our version we use the standard compression. It significantly reduces the amount of traffic, slightly increase CPU usage. And previous functionality during the startup of VM agent, it pings backend. If backend supports the standard compression, we use it. And that's actually one-time job when you need to restart VM agent to do things one more time. And in this pull request, that's dynamic configuration of this protocol, and VM agent can switch on the fly and use VictoriaMetrics remote write protocol if backend supports it. Really nice one, and it's a usability feature. And also cost you nothing, just upgrade. Next one, that's my favorite one. Query execution statistic. From version 116, we added additional parameter to VictoriaMetrics Enterprise. It's search logs, log query stats, and you specify the duration. If you specify 1 millisecond, that means everything. And what it does, vmselect starts logging all reading requests, and they look like this. So it's a log FIMIT logging format, and basically it starts with VM's log query stats, and after that, that's information about the query. What type of the query? Instance, range, exact query. Hash, it's just the hashing things. I will show later how to use it, but it's just a sugar for lookups. Next things, start, end, step, tenant, and the nice things, how much memory vmselect spent on execution of this query, also fetch it samples, and samples and fetched series. And as well, the here end and start time I will show later what it means. So basically, you have all requests as logs, and what it means. That's our integration with this login query and VictoriaLogs, where we parse this query. Again, log4met support for almost all log collectors and database for unpackage this message on the fly. And here's an example using LogsQL to parse this message and have all fields, these all fields as a different searchable fields for the aggregation and for search. And we also provide this dashboard. And the beautiful part of this dashboard that you can see performance of your query results, like amount of the instance and range queries, and specific information about most frequent query, the query that took a lot of the memory, query execution by tenant. And what I especially like, this top right panel, which returns you the oldest query timestamp. What this means, you start the statistic, for example, for 90 days. You open this dashboard, you run this query and get the statistic for latest 90 days. And you see that the oldest timestamp is also in the summer range of these 90 days. And this means that you query only most recent data. And actually, you may want to reduce the retention or apply down sampling or do stuff like that. So a lot of insights about the reading pattern. If you want to try, feel free to issue trial license from our site, and actually highly recommend. Really nice feature. Next one, you probably noticed that we released a new version of our documentation. That was enormous amount of work and code changes. Thank you, Andrew Chubatiuk, for doing this stuff. And what this means for you, it's faster. It supports dark theme. It provides better code highlighting, search stuff, and actually load speed. That's not our latest change to documentation. We are going to do 2 more things, and most likely I will tell myself or Roman will tell you about that next time. But things that you may notice: performance, accessibility, and applying best practice. Everything green besides the accessibility. We are going to improve this as well because it's really important. But for you, just a better experience. Readability, usability, content splitting for VictoriaLogs and metrics, and some dedicated search page. So feel free to try, and also feel free to provide the feedback. Next things, in documentation, Fong did also great work and update relabeling cookbook. So if you don't know about this page, VMagent support relabeling, and that's information you can find in VMagent documentation. Besides that, we have additional page, relabeling cookbook, where you can find examples from the regular activity, how to do X, Y, that with relabeling, dropping metrics, splitting metrics, regex, how to convert annotation to VictoriaMetrics tenant in multi-tenancy VMagent. So everything is there, and it's updated. Feel free to take a look. It's really useful. Yeah. Next things, Max Kotlar updated Kubernetes documentation, and we are also going to update it further. But the most noticeable part, quick start, much easier, cover the topics more clear. Okay, thank you, Max. And also there will be more updates in Kubernetes Operator documentation, aligning it with other documentation format, and make it easy to navigate as well the content improvement. Other thing that is worth to mention, bug fixes, security, and actually about security, that's funny stuff. All security updates, the subrating of Go image, of the Go version, and basic images, but we really care about this stuff. So if you find anything, feel free to ping us and regularly. The update comes faster, or in the regular release cycle running faster. And what else? Dashboards. Actually, all dashboards: VictoriaLogs, VictoriaMetrics, statistic per tenant, alerting rules. So various things. I recommend you to check changelog and find all the information here. That's actually the last my slide. In terms of the useful links, you can find them here about the releases and basically changelog. Yeah, that's it. So again, thank you, Roman, for preparation this talk. And let me check for some questions. I see some questions in chat, but let us cover in AMA session because it's explicitly mentioned this is for AMA session. Next one is, let me remove myself from stage. Let me add Alex. Alex, hello.
Yeah, hello.
I need to add your presentation.
Maybe I better share my screen.
Okay. Live sharing. Let's do. That's like this live demo, but yeah.
Okay.
And Alex Marshalov. Is it right screen?
Yeah. Looks
Okay.
good.
So Alex is going to tell about AI and monitoring system. I'm removing myself from the stage. Alex, please go ahead.
Okay. I'm excited to talk about something that could be a game changer in the future of how we interact with our monitoring system. I'm talking about using AI assistants with your monitoring. A couple of months ago, the terms AI agents, RAG, MCP, etc. were kind of background noise to me, but I decided to look into. There was so much hype around MCP, and it ended up developing MCP servers and leading to what I'm going to talk about today. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, don't worry. We are going to break it all down during this presentation. It's going to be quite extensive, dynamic, so make yourself comfortable. Sorry in advance, it can be a bit long, but yeah. Okay, here's what we'll cover today. First, I'll explain what MCP is, how exactly it works, and why it matters. Then we'll dive into VictoriaMetrics MCP server, how to set up it, and what it can do. We'll explore real-world usage examples and scenarios, look at cloud integration, and discuss what's coming next. And a word or two about MCP VictoriaLogs. Then, in general, the presentation will have two main parts. The first one is about how it works in general, and the second one is about how it works with VictoriaMetrics. So let's start from MCP and what exactly is MCP. Why are we only on the third intro slide of the presentation, and this is about the 100th time I've repeated those three letters. The acronym MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. Sounds kind of abstract, but what you should know is that protocol is the main word here. It's an open standard introduced. It's an open standard that enables AI application to connect to and work with external data sources and tools. MCP allows AI models to access real-time information, databases, services, and providing consistent interface to developers for integration with various data sources. The protocol was introduced by company Anthropic. It's the company behind Cloud. It's relatively new. It was introduced about half a year ago, but the adoption was been incredible. Just look at the ecosystem growth. We already have hundreds or maybe thousands of MCP servers available for different services and tools. The community has really embraced this standard because it solves a real problem. I really love this analogy from the MCP documentation. Like think of MCP like USB-C port for AI applications. If you want to learn more about this technology after the presentation, there is no better source of knowledge than the official website of the standard. Well, it's time to find out exactly how it works. I want to demystify this topic for people in observability with explanation of how it works. Importantly, you don't necessarily need to know about all of this to use it, but knowing will help you to use it more efficiently. Let me walk you through how this works in practice. Imagine you have some application with a chat interface. It can be real chat interface, it can be voice-driven interface, it can be even some classic application with buttons with chat interface under the hood. And you have some external services, databases, or tools. For example, let it be some application by VictoriaMetrics. You want to make some request. For example, send message like, hey, tell me something about my metrics. What is your expectations here? Of course, you expect your application to go to external sources, somehow get a bunch of useful information and simplify, summarize, structurize it for you, and answer your question with the most comprehensive and high quality answer possible. Pretty appropriate expectation these days. And how it can work. Of course, you need LLM for it, but that doesn't answer the question. Before we answer it, let's make sure everyone understands what an LLM is. LLM means large language model. Here is some definition you can read. I don't want to pronounce it. And I want to tell you about main point here. You should distinguish between LLMs and AI services, AI platforms, etc. These terms often mean the same thing in people's mind, and it confuses them. For example, ChatGPT is a service that provides a lot of functionality around LLMs called GPT. I mean, LLM is just very simple API that can predict next letters based on previous ones, and that's it. Everything else you work within ChatGPT, like UI, chats, web search, different settings in some code, created around LLMs and interaction with LLMs. One important thing I'm trying to say here for the next slide, it's that LLM can only generate text. It can search the web in the web or call any APIs or do anything like that. So let's come back to our scheme and let's see how it worked before MCP. Before MCP, we had to create a lot of tricky code that integrated to the client and works with your external data. This code was specific for certain client, certain external service, and could be even specific for certain LLM. That doesn't sound good because it leads to the M times N problem. It means if we have M clients and N services, we have to create M times N integrations. It's completely unscalable. So let's see how MCP solves this problem. To connect some external service like VictoriaMetrics, you should have some special lightweight application called MCP Server. I've shown you before that there are already huge number of such servers created for different data sources. And this MCP service provides some unified API. That's why I pointed out earlier that in acronym MCP, the main word is protocol. This means that any MCP server can be interacted within in uniform manner. So your client should somehow be able to interact with MCP servers. All or almost all popular AI clients already know how to do this. They just connect lightweight MCP client libraries in any language and can communicate with MCP servers. This application we call MCP hosts. But what does the interaction mean? What lies behind the protocol there? Okay, let's dive a little bit into this particular part of our scheme. MCP provides JSON RPC-based protocol that declares several entities. The first one called tools. It can be described as some actions that MCP servers can do. It's some executable functionality. From the client's point of view, you can receive a list of tools and execute any tool. That's it. The second one called resources. It's some data to extend context for LLM. From the client's perspective, you can retrieve a list of resources and read the content of resource. And that's it. The third one called prompts. It's some reusable templates for messages to AI. From the client's perspective, you can get a list of prompts and get content with some placeholders. For example, prompts can be common recipes or scenarios that works with this certain MCP server. As resources, MCP server can provide documentation and context to help the AI understand your system. But the main entity here is tools. Tools, a powerful primitive in MCP that enable servers to expose executable functionality. Through tools, LLM can interact with external systems, perform computations, and take actions in real world. The simplest analogy to tools is your endpoints for your API. That's why you see the Open API logo here. But the fact that tools is the primary tool that you can associate with your API endpoints means one more very important thing. If your service has an Open API spec, you can very easily to create an MCP server for it. And it's very easy to start interacting with it from the AI system. Most MCP servers do nothing more than translate Open API spec into MCP tool-based spec and just do the recall, and that's it. There is no problem for you to generate such MCP server for your service if you have any API spec. There are several tools or resources that I found for that, but I didn't check it. And you can also easily find lots of articles on Medium or other resources, like turn your Open API in MCP server in 5 minutes. But let's come back to our scheme. Perhaps the last thing you should know about here is what kind of transport is used when MCP server and MCP client communicate. But we'll talk about it a bit later. Well, that's what we have at the moment. We have MCP host application, we have MCP with MCP client, we have interaction with MCP server, and of course we have LLM and some user that send us his request. The beauty is that the AI doesn't need to know specifics of VictoriaMetrics API here. It just needs to understand which tools to use and when. Of course, we'll forward his request to LLM, right? But it's still not clear how the interaction with MCP server will happen, how we will get and call tools. I mean, we already know that LLM can't do anything like that. So let's take a closer look at what's going on inside the MCP host app. We have requests from user, we have MCP client, MCP server, and LLM. And we know that we need to send requests to the LLM, and we need to somehow figure out if we need to interact with MCP, and if we do, then perform the interaction. How can we do this? Given that we have universal information analyzer and question answer, of course, we can ask LLM what we should do. For example, we can send some query like, hey, LLM, here are some query and list of available tools with their descriptions. Based on this data, tell which of the tools should I use to answer this query. It's not real prompt, it's just demo how it can work. In real life, of course, prompt will be different. For example, we should say about formats and rules, etc. However, we can get list of we should call, and of course, it can be empty. But let's imagine we've got one tool. We have tool with description, and we have parameters of these tools with their types and description. How we can find out values of these parameters for the query? Of course, we should ask LLM again, like, hey, LLM, here are some query and description of the tools and its parameters. Tell us what values I should use for this tool. And now, after the answer, we have everything to call MCP server and get some extra information. But what we should do with this information now? I think it's not hard to guess now. Of course, we'll answer LLM about query from user, but now with provided context from tool. And now LLM can give us a comprehensive answer. Of course, it's simplified approach, but now you can learn new term. Now we have AI agent here. What is an AI agent? AI agents, it's autonomous software tools that perform tasks, make decisions, and interact with their environment intelligently and rationally. They use AI to pursue goals and complete tasks on behalf of users based on real-time feedback and changing conditions. AI agents can work on their own or be a part of bigger system based on the data they process. So here's the magic. Our part inside of the MCP host is also kind of AI agent for working with MCP that can understand your question, determine which tools it needs, call those tools with the right parameters, interpret the results, and provide you with meaningful answer. All of this happens automatically through natural conversation. And now we have the full picture and understand how everything works. And the nice part here, that's not necessarily to know for using it. What we should definitely know that we need an MCP server if you want to integrate our service with something, with AI assistant, and it will work naturally as intended. And that's it. So now we know almost everything what we need about MCP servers in general. Now we can explore MCP VictoriaMetrics. You can find full documentation in project README by the link, but let's take a quick look into key things here. Let's start from installing. Installation is quite straightforward. You have several options for installing MCP VictoriaMetrics. The first one is just use Docker image. That's it. If you have Go installed on your machine, you can use the following command to install from Go package. Of course, you can clone repository and build from source manually with Docker or with cooling CLI. And you can just grab pre-built binary files for all popular operating system and processor architectures. And in addition, you can find in README other ways for installing the MCP server. So now we have executable binary file. What we should do with that next? You need to choose the client. Where you will interact with your VictoriaMetrics instance. There are a lot of clients. Moreover, I think you already have a couple for example, popular editors like Visual Studio Code, IDEs from JetBrains, that already have embedded MCP clients inside. Vim also have plugins for integration with MCP clients. If you use terminal called Warp, it's also have MCP clients inside. There are several lists of MCP clients in web. You can see a couple of on the slide, and you can find many different types of MCP servers by the links. It can be chats, editors, terminals, I don't know, CLIs, chatbots, automation platforms, debugging and testing tools, AI agents, smart home applications, etc., etc. Here are several ones that you can already know about. So I'm gonna suggest, I'm not gonna suggest some best client because it depends on your tastes, needs, requirements, etc. I'm just going to tell you how to set up MCP VictoriaMetrics in your client. The MCP server supports several running mods. By default, it runs in std.io mod. I'll tell you about mods very soon, but just now I'll tell you about running in this default mode because it's easiest way to start. So for setuping MCP in your client, you should just use the several things. The first one, you need to specify some human readable name. It's just for you. You will see this name in the UI, and if you have several MCP servers of one type, you can use this name in your prompts to say the LLM that you want to use the specific one. The second thing, you should specify paths to command in your system for running MCP server. It's binary file that we just downloaded on previous slides. In some cases, you will need to specify command line arguments for those binary files, and MCP server parameterization takes place through environment variables. There are 4 things that you should specify to run the MCP server. Let's see how it looks in practice. Here's configuration example for Cloud Desktop. It's just JSON file with MCP server objects. And here you can see the name of MCP server in JSON key of this object. The next one that you can see there is the path of command to run the MCP server. Command line arguments for this command can be also specified in args attribute, but I didn't show it there. And the last one thing is env attribute with parameters of the MCP server. So why did I start by listing the things you need to specify rather than just give you configurations for popular clients? Because there are hundreds of such clients. Here is an example for Visual Studio Code. It has a bit different format, but the same things you need to specify. Here is config for cursor. It has the same format as Cloud. Configuration for that editor, a bit different, but the same parameters. For all IDEs from JetBrains like Golang, PyCharm, WebStorm, etc., parameters are the same. I just wanted to say that regardless of the client format, which you can read about in the documentation, you only need to understand the meaning of parameters and specify them to configure the MCP server in your client. What if I want to use Docker instead of local binary? You need to replace command with Docker and add arguments section for specifying Docker parameters like on slide. By the way, you can see real working parameters to run your MCP server connected with our public playground. You can just try MCP with these parameters and this should work. After configuring MCP server, you should see the server. You should see the server and its tools in UI. But of course, it depends on your client. More details about configuration parameters you can find in the README of the project by the link. We won't discuss them all, but there is one thing I do not to mention. Do you still remember this our scheme? It's time when we have to talk about server modes, aka MCP transports. We discussed what format, like JSON RPC, business logic, and entities are behind this arrow. But we didn't discuss how technically MCP client connects to MCP server. I mean, what transport is used there? In current version of Model Context Protocol declares next transports. The STD.io transport enables communication through standard input and output streams, like pipes. It's the most common MCP transport, perfect for command line tools, desktop applications, and local integrations. STD.io is really good as start for playing with AI systems. I recommend to always start from STD.io. It's simple, fast, no network issues, minimal memory and CPU overhead. The next one is called streamable HTTP. This transport use HTTP post requests for client to server communication.
No,
and
Alex, we don't see your screen. So I believe you need to reshare it.
Okay.
Add to stage, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Do you see now?
Yes.
Okay. HTTP posts for client to server and server sent events for server to client communication. You should use streamable HTTP when building web-based integrations, when you need client-server communication over HTTP. It's the most modern standard transport for MCP, but unfortunately, it's still not supported in some clients. Maybe because it's more complex, like with HTTP, you should think about a lot of stuff like authorization, load balancing, rate limiting, caching sessions, etc., etc. All these things are possible with streamable HTTP, but it's a bit complex. Of course, you've got some overhead in speed and in resource usage comparing to STD.io. The last one called server set events. This is predecessor of streamable HTTP that was deprecated some time ago. But as I said before, unfortunately, there are some clients that do not support streamable HTTP, but support SSE. That's why this protocol here still supported everywhere, including our server, but I don't recommend to use it if you have other options. So what we have now as transport options between MCP client and server. I'll repeat again, I'd recommend to start from STD.io and move to HTTP only when you are going to use it in production on a regular basis for multiple users. I'm not going to tell in this presentation how to configure network protocols. You can find it in MCP server README, but I had to tell about them in general. And now that we finally know what MCP is, how it works, now that we finally have MCP VictoriaMetrics installed, running and configured, we can start using it and figure out what it can do. So let's explore tools supported in MCP VictoriaMetrics. There are a list of them. I think if you are familiar with VMUI and use it, you should know the most of these tools. Here are some mapping to the VMUI. We can execute instant or range queries, get results such as on table or graph. We can get and draw raw samples with the Expert API. We have option for tracing queries in queries. We have separate UI proxied from VM alerts for working with alerts and rules. We have tenant selector, we have button for predefined query, and we have a lot of separate tools which contain a lot of useful information and functionality. The only tools which are present here but not covered in VMUI, it's test rules, explain query, and documentation. Functionality of these tools exists only in MCP server or in case of test rules as separate tool. So I will not to describe each tool there, because literally on the next slides we will practice with all of them. So eventually we are here. We can start using MCP step by step in real scenarios. Let's start from the beginning. We have a VictoriaMetrics instance. We are going to use it, but it's multi-tenant cluster. We should say to MCP which tenant we want to use. Let's do it. So we can use natural language like give me the list of available tenants, or we can use which tenants do we have, or other sentences. And the AI assistant should understand us and give good answer about existing tenants. So you can see the screenshot of cloud desktop application on the slide. And I want to show you a lot of chats on the following screens, but it will be a bit different to follow them on screenshots, and it's not look good. And I like nice looking presentation. So starting from this slide, I'm going to show chats like that, but it was real chats. So again, we are asking about existing tenants, and we can see that our assistant hanging in some special block. This block means that we are calling tool from MCP server. After some time, we are getting human readable answer with the list from 4 tenants. And in addition, we can see that one of them is default, and we can see information about format of the tenant. I think this answer is complete enough. But how we can select the tenant as we do it in VMUI? It's easy, since one of the most important capabilities of AI assistants is storing and understanding the context of conversation. We simply ask it to use a specific tenant from that point on, in this case, the default tenant. And that's it. From now on, we are working with the tenant that we selected. Well, it was easy and fast. Of course, this tool is very simple. Let's check the next ones: metrics, labels, label values, and series. Let's check out what we can do with them. We're just going to continue our previous dialogue. Of course, we have lots of metrics. Let's ask what metrics do we have and see how AI assistant will show us these metrics. Of course, it uses this new tool from MCP server called metrics. And after that, we got summarized overview of our metrics, which groups of metrics we have with which suffixes. So let's check out of metric group, for instance, argcd. So we are saying, show me argcd metrics. It's using the metrics tool again. And after that, we can see all metrics from argcd sorted by categories. It's not the full message here, it's long enough. Let's check the labels of the first metric, for example. What labels does the argcd app info have? Well, new MCP tool now, series, and we can see all labels grouped by 2 categories: argcd specific labels and common labels that Kubernetes or metrics collector brings to us. So we need to go deeper. Let's check the values of some of the label. For instance, what values I have for label name of this metric. New MCP tool again, label values. And also note that a few messages later, the AI assistant still understands the context that we are still talking about the argcd app info metric. And it's really good. And there we are. We can see what applications we have in argcd. Of course, in this dialogue, we're discovering capabilities, but if we had the end goal of finding out the list of application argcd right away, could we do that faster with one prompt? Of course, we can just say, show me the list of applications in argcd from my metrics, and we'll get the super full answer. And pay attention to a couple of things here. The first one, how I made my request. I've added this from my metrics to help the LLM, and it's important if you ask some abstract questions without terms of specific MCP. And also pay attention to the thought process section here. LLM creates step-by-step plan for answering your question before doing something. The user is asking me to show a list of applications in Argo CD from their metrics. That means they have a VictoriaMetrics instance that collects metrics, and they want to see Argo CD application information from those metrics. To do this, I should first look at what metrics are available, if there are Argo CD related metrics, then query for Argo CD application metrics specifically. Sounds like I help LLM to understand how get application list. What if I hadn't added this sentence? In this case, LLM don't know what to do and give you advice about how to get application list with Argo CD tools. So in abstract queries, you need to help the LLM understand what you mean. We practice a bit with these metadata tools. Time to try alerts and alerting rules. So let's just check current alerts. New MCP tool again, and we can see information about current firing and pending alerts. Of course, for this functionality to work, you need to deploy vmAlert and configure vmAlert proxy URL on your VictoriaMetrics select or single. But I have to be honest and should to tell you about one problem here. If you want to replicate this right now on Playground, you will fail miserably. I took old screenshot from my previous dialog because right now on Playground we have hundreds of alerts, and Cloud have limit for tool response 1 megabyte. With many other tools, this problem is solvable because they have parameters to narrow down the data sample, and LLM gets an oversized error and does it by itself. It just makes several smaller queries instead of big one. But it doesn't work that way with this API and a couple of others because they don't have those parameters in VictoriaMetrics. I even added, but haven't released yet, on the MCP side filtering by group and alert status. It didn't help as all alerts are in the same group and have the same status. So this problem that still needs to be thought about and solved in the future. But right now we have a problem like that. But for now, let's do something weird. If we had a few alerts and I'm asking you to show me what the query graph looks like in those alerts, when I made this query, I didn't expect something really useful. And when I saw this, I was a little shocked first time because it's not just a visualization, it's the dashboard. The assistant took queries from the current alerts, executed those queries, wrote some React code that visualized those queries and displayed them to me as a dashboard. And I'm going to show you a couple more examples of this feature in the following slides, but not right now. Later I realized that this wasn't just regular behavior of LLM, but a Cloud feature that I had enabled when I was fiddling around in the settings. So I really recommend to activate this feature if you are going to use Cloud with observability tools, because this is an amazing feature. But we have to continue. Let's have a quick look at what kind of alerting rules we have. And here are some alerting rules sorted by categories. I should have talked more about the scenarios here, and in particular the rules testing tool. This is quite a complex topic, and we still have a third of presentation ahead. So unfortunately, we will skip this topic for now, maybe in the following parts of our meetups. I don't know. Let's move on. we should take a look into active and top queries, but we'll extend this block, and also we'll take a look into query-related tools in this block. Okay, assistant, show me 3 slowest queries. New MCP tool again, and also note wording here. Assistant in his thinking translated slowest queries to the top queries with the biggest average execution duration. It's really great. Well, we can observe our slowest queries with average execution times. Let's work with first one from now on, and now it looks a bit ugly. Let's prettify it. Using new prettify query MCP tool, and now it looks better, formatted and query with even syntax highlighting, but it still looks pretty complicated. I think without specific experience, it's really hard to say what exactly this query does. And it's time to tell you about the feature that exists only in MCP VictoriaMetrics. It doesn't present in VictoriaMetrics itself or in Beam UI. It's a tool called Explain Query. You can see usage example on the screen. We ask an assistant, explain me following query, sum rate, VM HTTP request total, with 5-minute look behind window. And we've got detailed step-by-step explanation with query breakdown and summary with short human readable explanation. But you can say, hey, it's really simple query. Everyone knows how sum rate works. Fair enough. Let's come back to our dialog and check out this tool with our big slowest query. So now explain me this query. Of course, I don't want to repeat query text, and I just use context. Assistant call explain query MCP tool, and that's what we have. Short explanation about what this query does, and then step-by-step breakdown from 3 parts with details about each part. First one checks that current free space in file system less than 15%. Second one uses linear regression to predict whether free space will run out within 4 hours. The third one excludes read-only file system from the sample. And then explanation how these 3 parts work together. I think that's a super complex explanation, so super complete explanation, and how it works. I showed you before simple block that show you call of MCP tool. Of course, it's not just tool call. It has request parameters and response. And depending on your client, you can expand this block and see request params. In this case, it's not so interesting because it's just our query, but you can see the response here. Let's copy this response and take a look into it to demystify this magic. You can see JSON with 4 sections. There are only 3 of them on the screen. It's not just important, but okay. First one called functions info. There is one function here, predict linear, because we used only one in our query. It contains function description and category, rollup, brigade, and etc. All this information is taken from parsed MetricsQL documentation. The second one called metrics info. There are 3 metrics, those we used in our query: not file system avail bytes, not file system read only, and not file system size bytes. It contains group or source of metric, description, type like gauge or counter, and some labels. Third one is called syntax tree. It's our query parsed and presented as JSON in form of syntax tree. The largest and the most difficult to read section for humans. And the last one is called types info. It contains meta information about node types in syntax tree. Nothing interesting here. So, and this huge JSON we just give into LLM and saying, hey, here's a bunch of meta information and documentation about the query. Turn it into human readable form, and it does it. It works very well, and we've saw the results. An attentive viewer might have wondered, I understand about functions info, syntax tree, and types info, But where did the information about metrics come from? Many of you know that the information is not available from VictoriaMetrics because it doesn't store a metrics metadata. That's still the case for now. That's why I spent some time, honestly a lot of time, to collect static files with metric metadata for other popular tools like Node Exporter, Kube State Metrics, Kube API Server, etc. But there are quite a few of these files now, and it's quite difficult to generate them, but I just wanted to make POC with this, and it works awesome. This works even for metrics that aren't in the database, just a little worse. I hope this can be dropped out and everything will work after implementing this functionality. As far as I know, it's already in progress, and this feature will be really helpful for AI functionality, because right now AI works really well with known metrics because it has some internal knowledge about open source and popular metrics. But if you have your own internal product with some metrics, it can work not good. This issue should improve this situation. Yeah. Let's go next. We already know what our slow query should do, but let's try to understand what's the reason of slowness. Trace this query. Query MCP tool with trace option. And here are some details about execution of this query. How many data selects each part and what's duration, and some summary about possible slowness reasons here. Pretty good, I think. Okay, show me the graph for this query for the last 24 hours. Now query range MCP tool, because we requested query for some range. Hold on. What's going on here? Why query range again and again and again? Let's read the text. The query returned no results over the past 24 hours, which means no file system met all 3 criteria simultaneously. This is actually good news. Let me create a more informative dashboard, blah, blah, blah. It means AI assistant doesn't found results for this particular query, and it split it to 3 parts and executed separately. Yeah, and I think it's a good decision. In the meanwhile, we've got dashboard, and this is how it looks. We can see that all of file systems have more than 90% of free space, and that's why our full query returns empty results. But to be honest, it's not really interesting query and dashboard. That's why I wanted to show you another one, not related to our previous dialog, but still pretty good. But it's query from our public chat. Like, show me CPU utilization on some specific host for the last 2 days. And here is the graph and some text summary. It's like Grafana for humans. I think it's really good thing. Okay, we finished this block. I'll try to speed up a bit. Let's get some metric statistics inside with these tools, and we'll also take debugging tools in this block. Give me the most cardinal metrics. Great, you've got the right tool, TSDB status, and there is a table with metrics ordered by cardinality. Looks great. Which of the metrics are never used? We are seeing that unfortunately all of them are used in queries, but let's see what assistant can say next based on metric stats tool. Okay, he said that metrics with the highest cardinality are already used in queries, but there are metrics that is never used, and some other interesting insights here. Okay, let's ask assistant to create a relabeling rule for us and to remove all these unused metrics. Metric stat tool again, and he found the metrics and started to create a relabeling rule. And he's doing more for us. He didn't just generate a relabeling rule. he's testing it with the matrix reliable debug MCP tool. That's really awesome. He running another test and another, and that's it. He created for us relabeling rule, tested it, and gave us some summary about testing. That's how it looks in real dialog. And you can see several different options of correct relabeling rules here. And some test report. I'm really excited about it. And we finished with statistics and debugging tools. We tested only one debugging tool, but I don't think that will be a problem for you to use the rest of them. So we have the last tool. Not only we want to use VM API, but we want to find answer to our questions. Let's just ask any question about VictoriaMetrics. For example, how to write data to VictoriaMetrics Cloud. We are seeing using of new tool documentation and another one, and now assistant prepared some answer for us. And that's how answer looks. It's completely comprehensive answer. That said, it's worth noting that I have web search tool turned off, and this stuff about access token just recently appeared in the docs. And at this point, I should be telling you about RAG systems, but unfortunately that will be definitely not fit in this talk. So many things to tell around all of this. But what you should know that here, MCP server contains all VictoriaMetrics documentation and can search it and provide as context for AI assistant. In addition to documentation, it also contains all our blog posts, because so many really amazing blog posts by Fong, Rikun, and other guys recently. I'd recommend to subscribe our blog because it's really cool. And the last small note about documentation, unfortunately, not for all your questions, the assistant will realize that he needs to use documentation tool. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky to force them to use documentation. That's why the MCP server also contains prompt for that. You can select prompt documentation in UI, fill in your question in the field. For example, how to set up different retention for different tenants, and send it to assistant. And it should use documentation tool to answer, and here is the answer. In the rest of the document here, it also suggests some workarounds without using enterprise, for example, but we'll skip it. The root cause of such problems is that the MCP server cannot influence which tools or resources the AI agent will choose for the query. It can only do so indirectly through the description of tools, but it doesn't work well. And it's likely that the quality of the use of tools will be significantly improved when this change in the specification comes into effect. This specification proposal adds search API for tools and resources in model context protocol, and MCP server will be able to implement this API. It will take some time to release new specification, implemented in libraries, implemented in clients and servers, but I think it could be really good improvement to quality of assistance answers. That's about features. Now a couple thesis about how to improve quality of answers. It will be, oh, sorry, I forgot about one section. It will be very quick. The MCP server also has integration with VictoriaMetrics Cloud. You can create API key in VictoriaMetrics Cloud console, put it into the config of MCP as only parameter instead of instance entry point, instance type, instance bearer token, etc. And in addition to all previous tools, for all your deployments will be activated some extra cloud-specific tools. I don't have time to tell you about it more. Maybe in the next meetups, we'll have some roadmap in project with me. You can find the things like support new query statistics feature, add extra knowledge like answer from public Slack from public chats and GitHub issues, etc. Implement multi-instance version of MCP, support some additional APIs, support metrics metadata when it will be implemented, etc. So don't worry, I'm not going to tell you the same about MCP VictoriaLogs. Just a couple words. We also have MCP for VictoriaLogs. You can find all information by the link. Here you can see the list of supported tools. It's just all the read APIs that VictoriaLogs supports. And I want to end with a couple tips how to improve quality of AI assistant answers. Of course, main thing here is LLM that you use. During all presentation, I was showing you Cloud. It's not an advertisement. They didn't pay me, but for me, it works better than all other LLMs in observability scenarios. Maybe I should test other LLMs more, and I'm gonna do it in the future, but not now. Selecting of tools now is the responsibility of clients, so it depends on your client how assistant work with MCP. But maybe it should be improved in the future. And of course, a lot of things depends on your wording. The more complex scenario, the more correct wording should be used. Use context. It's really powerful thing. For example, if you want to make some complex query to database, you can find necessary metrics first, and after that say, hey, how use these metrics to query something. It's maybe again about wording, but in other words, if you know capabilities, tools of MCP server, you can better put your request in the right words without abstract wording. And AI assistants every time have hallucinations, mistake, etc. That's unfortunately part and parcel. So you should take it calmly. It's worth double checking something if you are doing something irreversible or dangerous. It's again about wording. If you give more details, it will work better, help LLM to understand what do you want exactly. If you are working with some popular metrics of popular tools, it will work better than with your own internal metrics, because LLM have internal knowledge. It should get in better when we provide ways to add your metadata to LLM context. Right now, you should just know about it. And maybe it's topic for the next part of presentation, but I think power of MCP will be in synergy. If you cover all your observability stack with MCP, it can be really powerful tool with AI assistants, like combine VictoriaMetrics, MCP VictoriaMetrics, VictoriaLogs, and for example, Kubernetes MCP. Yeah, we have no room to live sessions here, but we have tech talks very soon called Can AI or ML Guide Observability. I don't know what Mark and Matthias prepared for you, but I hope it contains some live sessions here or so. Anyway, I think it will be great. So subscribe and join. Well, more than 200 slides flew by like a flash, and that's probably all I wanted to tell you today. Actually, not, but thanks for listening. I'm ready to answer your question in our public Slack, Telegram, GitHub issues, etc.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Again, that was extremely good for me. Personally, I see this presentation first time and I enjoy it. We have a couple of questions right now. I will present them, and also I have a couple questions from myself. Oh, and some additional notice. I believe this meetup will take more than 2 hours. So please prepare some snacks or anything else. So you with us for a while. So we have a couple of the questions. I cannot present two of them. So Yasur asked about how it works with the local LLM models. For example, Llama plus Qwen or Mistral or DeepSeek or something like that.
Yeah, I check it really little. It in some cases, it works great with Qwen3, but I don't remember parameters of that. I didn't check it a lot. Like I should do it in the future, but now I can say how it works.
Okay, thank you so much. And the next question, that's like continuing of the previous one, and I can answer then. Join our Slack channel where you can ask all the questions. Alex is there, so that's a good place for communication. And Alex Valel can share this link. Also, like, feel free to join. I have two questions. Like, one is more like statement, and the second is question. Am I understand right that the most simplest way to start trying MCP right now is first have Cloud desktop, second VictoriaMetrics installation, and third MCP server? So, am I right?
You are almost right. Honestly, it's not required to have VictoriaMetrics installation because we have public playground, and we have section in our README. Try it without installation, and you can just install Cloud Desktop, and that's it. Configure it, and that's it. Try to use.
Okay, thank you so much. And the next real question, Matthias asked, I cannot find, ask about using several MCPs together. For example, I install VictoriaMetrics MCP and Alert Manager MCP. Is it possible to get combined value from two of these tools together?
Of course.
Like
it depends, but again, it depends on your client and LLM. It can understand that you should use two different tools and combine all data from this, all response from the tools, and it should work. It definitely works with Cloud.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I personally tried with Cloud Desktop, and I recommend to start with it. That was very simple. And some additional comment from Roman. Roman, hello. It should be a cookbook talk. I personally agree.
I don't have Schengen either right now, but maybe.
Yeah, we work on that. Okay, thank you so much. Let me remove you from stage and invite Fred. Our next topic is updates in VM Anomaly. Fred, hello. And also,
hi guys.
Find you.
Hi Artem.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you very much, Alex, for that beautiful presentation. And I totally agree with Roman that it deserves its own KubeCon talk. It was really great and it was really concise at the same time, but still impactful. Really great. Thanks for presenting. So I'll try to be really quick with my updates. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to present last quarter, so I will politely unite all of my slides from 2 quarters into one presentation. And I believe it will take like 7 to 10 minutes in general. My name is Fred Navruzov. I'm representing VM Anomaly team, which is VictoriaMetrics Anomaly Detection. And for you who do not know what is this product about, it's a part of our enterprise offering, and it actually allows you to simplify your alerting rules by introducing different paradigm and moving from static thresholds on static values of your metrics to ML-powered thresholds, which remains actual over time and are static. So VM Anomaly does exactly that. It simplifies your alerting experience, and it simplifies your experience to run this alerting. So for today, I have a small agenda, just a quick recap what we ended for by the end of previous year. Then I will follow with what the first half of this year brought to the table. Then I will cover briefly what is work in progress and also some future plans for H2 25. And as a small spoiler after Alex's talk, I also will put some effort into incorporating VM Anomaly as a part of broader MCP capabilities that we have at VictoriaMetrics. So it can be a set of tools, and they can be united to produce a greater value. So first of all, I will be really quick on where we ended last year. We have a set of releases, and the fourth quarter was mostly around some performance optimizations, bug fixes, feature requests on simplifying utilities, on simplifying use cases, and ease of use. Also, we introduced self-monitoring Grafana dashboard and a set of self-monitoring metrics that were updated for better experience. So right now, starting from Q4, you can install it and observe your VictoriaMetrics Anomaly Detection as a service. Also, we set a couple of documentation updates, released new pages. So in general, it was a technical quarter. And here I will intentionally skip some of the details. Like we really serve some of the customers with adding specific features like time zone support, or maybe having per query tenant in reader sections, or added specific mode to one of our schedulers. So it was mostly about technical stuff. So I intentionally skip some of the slides, and all of this will be available to you after the meetup ends. As for this half year, so what it brought us, it has a couple of major releases, and what's more important, it introduced some of the highly awaited features. One of these is horizontal scalability and high availability, which is done through config sharding and config subreplication. I'll talk more on that later. Also, not last, today we introduced stateful VM anomaly service with a new release. I'll also spend a couple of minutes to for you to better understand what it means for VM anomaly users. Also, in addition to self-monitoring metrics, we released generalized anomaly score dashboard to drill down anomalies, which can be really helpful for smaller teams that lack some Grafana knowledge and just want to spawn some VM anomaly and start exploring produced anomaly scores and drill down to anomalies. And also, we improved some of our built-in models with business-driven arguments. More of that on later slides. So first of all, we introduced sharding and high availability in VM Anomaly 1.21.0 with respective Helm chart version, if you're using Helm charts. So right now, VM Anomaly supports horizontal scalability through configuration sharding and high availability via subconfiguration replication. So for that, for those who do not know how the config of VM Anomaly looks like, basically you can define several sections there, and you can define specific models that you want to write on your data. You can define specific queries to get the data from VictoriaMetrics installations to run anomaly detection on. You can define schedulers on how often to rerun the models, how often to produce anomaly scores, whatever. So in general, we have many-to-many relationships, and it can be set all in many different files that by the end of the day are united in a global YAML config file. It has several required sections. So what sharding does, it actually splits your global configuration into minimal subconfigurations, as little as one model that is run on one specific query and which is attached to one specific scheduler. And such small subconfigurations can be sharded and set to your specific shards. So each shard will have its tiny part of work, and each shard will have its own VM anomaly, which is having access to the same global config, but at the same time it knows how much to replicate, how much sub-entities to use, and what instances and what jobs to execute. So under the hood, it becomes much more simpler than before to scale. So the same can be done for high availability if you want to introduce some redundancy. So all the documentations were also released, and please find the guides of how to enable it and how to use it in different installation options like Docker or Helm charts or Docker Compose. This is the first milestone that we achieved. Another one, which was also highly rated, is stateful VM anomaly. And prior to that, VM anomaly was a stateless server. So once you restart the service, it started from scratch and it loses all the knowledge about its previous state. So starting from this new version, 1.24, you can set the service to be stateful with new restore state argument. And what it means, it will mean that service internally will persist and restore its state between the runs. So in case of outages or intentional restarts, all of the metadata, including anomaly detection models, which were already trained, and the data it was trained on, are stored on disk, and later on it will be restored, and you can resume from where you ended without the need to require this data from VictoriaMetrics, to spend some CPU time on retraining these models, and thus put in some weight into production of new anomaly scores. So we have a couple of options who will benefit most from these changes, and it can be followed by link. And one quick announcement: shortly we will follow it with another highly awaited option of config hot reload. So it will allow VM anomaly users not only to restore state after restarts or outages, but also to change dynamically what should be done in VM anomaly, like adding or removing some models, adding new queries. And combined with stateful VM anomaly, it will reuse what can be reused by making some internal checks on config and seeing what was changed and what was not. And at the same time, it will schedule new jobs without the need of manual restart. Also, as I mentioned, we added VM anomaly score dashboard in addition to our self-monitoring dashboard. All of this dashboard can be found and downloaded from Grafana Cloud by respective IDs. And for that, we have respective documentation sections with guidance and examples of how to use it. But in general, once you set up VM anomaly installation and start producing anomaly scores, which is a replacement of your alerting rules, then you can explore produced anomaly scores, and you can drill down from global view when you can filter on more global entities that you have in your data, to a more local one where you can explore specific time series, or when you can filter by labels, and when you can explore what model expected to be in your data and what was the real data, so what were the fluctuations and why the anomaly score was that high or that low. Also, we improved and supported new common arguments for our default models. And by models, I mean anomaly score detectors. First of all, how it works. Usually our model produces some expectation given historical data on how the metric will behave in the future. And then when it gets real data from your query, it will basically compare what was received with what was expected. And if it was too far away from what was expected, then respective anomaly score will be high. But sometimes, even for perfect models, there is a problem that it should be asymmetric from business perspective. For example, you are more interested in drops than in spikes, or vice versa. For example, for metrics like error rates or customer satisfaction scores. And you already have some models that performs well, but for some reason it has too broad confidence interval from one side and too small confidence interval from the other side. So we introduced so-called two-sided scale argument to tune this confidence boundary height and width, so it adapts more to your specific business use cases. The same we added to align visual output expectations from metrics received from VM anomaly, which is called click predictions, because you can incorporate a kind of domain knowledge into VM anomaly setups. Like you can set up data range for your queries. You can set up expected behavior, like what you want to catch in VM anomaly, maybe drops in metrics, maybe spikes, maybe both. The same, you can put some intuition on what is sufficient from business perspective to catch, like what is the minimal deviations that should even trigger an anomaly score to be that big from business perspective. So there is a couple of more arguments to align visual output on the dashboards. The same, we added decay argument for online models. And by online models, I mean the models that can adjust its hyperparameters and parameters with each new data points it sees. So it doesn't require gradual refits. You just require one first fit, and then it will gradually adapt to your data. But sometimes it lags from too slow adaptation speed, which was countered by adding decay arguments, so it puts more efforts and more warning to the recent data points in your data. So if you expect your data points and your data to have bigger fluctuations or bigger amount of changing regimes over time, it's better to use this argument in combination with online models. And so on for other business arguments, like you can set up anomaly score outside data range to capture errors in your data collection sensors or in your misconfigured MetricsQL queries that you use to guide VM anomaly what data to run on. So these are common arguments updates. Also, we had some work in progress, like config hot reload, which will shortly follow stateful VM anomaly. The same, we have a PR in review for supporting VM anomaly in VM Operator, which was also a highly rated feature for many customers. And we will work on Node Expert preset version 2.0 for improved visuals and resource-effective online models. So it still has some work to do. As for the plans for the next half of the year, we'll focus, as before, on convenience of use and as well as on integrations. First of all, we will release Vim UI-based graphical user interface for testing various anomaly detection configurations on your historical data, so you can see how anomaly detection's results look like with just a simple click, or you can auto-tune your models with ML capabilities on your historical data, given your expectations on anomaly profiles. Also, we want to integrate Vim anomaly with endpoints of VictoriaMetrics MCP server. So we'll introduce a couple of new endpoints from Vim anomaly side, and we'll try to make Vim anomaly a part of bigger picture, as Alexander showed us today. Also, we'll introduce reader that can interact with VictoriaLogs Prometheus compatible endpoints to get query stats as a metrics. Also, we will do an integration with VictoriaMetrics Cloud, because Vim anomaly right now is present on-prem. And also we'll put some efforts into more straightforward and more visual guides of how to use VM anomaly for the most popular use cases. Like if your metrics look like this, then you should start from a config that looks like this and using this model. It should be really straightforward. Also, for resource efficiency and scalability, we'll release capacity calculator for resource utilization, so customers can see how much resources are needed to consume specific setup size. And also, of course, there is a lot of room for optimization and service performance in single node and a sharded mode. And of course, we'll do more integration. We had initially a plan to do conversational AI and build it around config validation and config suggestion. But as long as we went MCP direction with VictoriaMetrics, we will slightly change our implementation towards MCP support. So I believe it will be a great combination of all the tools in VictoriaMetrics ecosystem soon. Basically, that's it from the update side from my presentation. As being part of enterprise, VM anomaly requires a license to run, but you can issue your trial license to test this product. And here are the links to product page and documentation. And thanks for listening. Artem, you're muted, I believe.
Yes, that's true. Thank you. I have one question. No, I have two questions. First one, when can we expect VM anomaly in Operator?
I believe it's early next week, according to recent PR comments.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's already work in progress, and it's already being tested, some of the setups. So I believe it to be released soon.
That's nice. And the second question, tell me about the next major feature that you and your team want to deliver.
Yeah, I believe the most awaited feature, which also become a meme, the same as cluster version for VictoriaLogs, is VM Anomaly UI for backtesting, because we have a set of dissolved components. Like we have backtesting scheduler, we have an option to run VM Anomaly historical data, but we do not have convenient interface to do that. So that's why we will put a lot of efforts to deliver it this quarter. And I mean VM Anomaly graphical user interface, which will actually allow you to backtest specific configuration on historical data, also to run so-called auto-tune mode if you don't want to mess up with hyperparameters of the model. So you just set expected anomaly percentage and hit optimize button. And once you have your config prepared and validated, you just can copy it and use for your production setups.
Nice.
And it was really a rated feature, but for many reasons it was delayed. And I hope it will be a quarter for finally releasing it.
I like when everything works by just clicking one button.
Everything works UI.
Yeah.
It will be slightly transformed or maybe integrated with the addition of MCPs, but in general it will be that way that I introduced.
Thank you. 2 questions from Matthias. It's actually one. Let me combine it to one. Any plans for the releasing presets, especially for the host metrics and black box exporter?
I believe we can release it as we have some expertise within the team. And also in our internal roadmap, we have plans, as I mentioned, to release Node Exporter version 2.0, because it was one of the highly rated features, as well as for VictoriaMetrics itself, because VictoriaMetrics installations and monitoring can also benefit from VM Anomaly and from presets. And by presets, I mean a special mode for VM Anomaly where user just needs to specify very tiny configuration like endpoints or maybe some credentials, and all other stuff is defined in favor of customer, like models, schedulers, queries to run on, whatever. So it's really a tiny thing, just to simplify preset name and some endpoints.
So if I understand correctly, instead of thinking on write query, you already have these queries in presets, and you need to specify VictoriaMetrics endpoint for the reading and writing the data, and you expect that, for example, node exporter metrics will be in this VictoriaMetrics installation. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a set of simple assumptions, like these metrics should be produced by a specific exporter or specific data producer, so it has exactly the same name as we hope to get, and those data should be available in the endpoints that you specify, and that's it.
Thank you. Sounds great. Thank you for your presentation. Anything to add? No, I believe. Okay, the next talk is about cloud updates. Let me remove Fred and invite Jose. Jose, hello.
Here I am. Thank you, Artem.
You're welcome. And here's your presentation.
All right, let's get started. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing your updates, Fred. It's great. I can't wait to work with you and have VM Anomaly on cloud. I think it would be a super feature for all of our users. And also thank you, Alex, for that great presentation. Like, super cool. I will explain now in a second with an example why I think this is very cool. So let's talk about what happened in the last quarter by this awesome team. And by the way, in case you don't know about cloud, it's like, VictoriaMetrics just runs in the cloud. We manage it for you. We give you an endpoint. You don't need to worry about it. So in case you didn't try it yet, it's free for a while, so you can just test it. Go ahead, the web page, and get started. And you can actually these guys were discussing, hey, what's the best or easiest way to test this? You can also test it in cloud, as I will explain in a second. So I will share the updates, as I said, but let's just get to it, right? So first of all, we've been adding some enhancements to the access tokens, meaning that now you can easily, just in the UI, create access tokens per tenant, and this makes it like super easy for you, because one of the main reasons why you would want an enterprise solution is just to be able to define your team and put some security enforcement and saying, okay, you can only read in this path, and you will write here and separate across your team, so things that can don't get messy. So with this one, you can just with a few clicks do it. And now we have this new UI to do that. And now, if you go again to the access token section, you will see that now we have you can check to which tenant every token is related to, because it's always super recommended to create a token per thing you do. Like, okay, I'm writing data from this cluster here. Okay, just create that token, and so forth, right? So here you can check, and also you can check usage, like, hey, I created this tenant, and are we using it? No, then let's just remove it, right? So that's now part of the UI, and you can also check in the monitoring section if also their usage, like if someone is going over some limits, or if you misconfigured something, so you are getting a lot of requests and whatnot per tenant. So here, this is also an improvement, but you can also check it in the documentation, right? Let's go back to where we started today. There's a lot of MCP. Now you can, since not long ago, now you can gel at cloud. You can talk to VictoriaMetrics Cloud, and it's easy with an integration. If you are a user, you would already know that VictoriaMetrics Cloud helps in integrations by you just need an endpoint and the token that we were discussing seconds ago, right? So here we help you, as Alexander was mentioning earlier. Here we give you the prompts and everything, or the settings that you need. And actually, I used it myself this weekend. I was preparing this thing, and it was so cool. So you were discussing about how nice it is to do it with Cloud, for example. With Visual Studio Code is as simple as that as well. And here, just to give you an example, I was just asking, hey, about my metrics that nobody knows about them, right? Like how they are behaving. I was asking, hey, how is my service that is called in this way behaving? And it just told me, this is an instance running in the cloud. I just gave it the URL and the token, as I said. And it just told me, hey, it's running okay. You are sending this number of requests and this number of successful responses. And this was the average response time. So I don't even need to care about creating a Grafana dashboard or anything. I can just ask this thing, and it's not hallucinating. And I was surprised by that, because when I was typing this, I was like, okay, this is going to be so bad. It was perfect. So it's so cool. I really want to second what Alex said. Try it, because it's very, very useful. Let's continue with more things. You don't need to just shout out the cloud in natural language. You can always do it in the language you love, which is coding in Golang, I guess, if you're here. And for that, there is a new API lib that you can check on the VictoriaMetrics GitHub, and it will allow you to just talk to cloud in your code. Right, so that's there as well. And if we continue with more updates and integrations, I guess if you are a metrics user, you are an alerts user, and then you know this page, right? Which is the awesome Prometheus alerts and rules. And why I'm talking about this, there is a new integration type if you go to the console, that is called alerting and recording rules, right? So it's not only data ingestion, visualization. Now there's also a dedicated one, and we help you by importing these awesome rules in your cloud instance, and then you can select which one you want to use. For example, hey, I'm using Node Exporter, and I am really interested in getting a notification when I get out of a space in my disk. Then you can just select it and apply it, and then you will just have that already enabled for you. So the only last step you need to do is to set it again, and you will be receiving those alerts. So it's super convenient, and yeah, we will really love to hear your feedback about it. But as you know, cloud is really about making things easy for you. So I think this was a great feature implemented by the team, and it was super cool. So let's continue. The last thing I wanted to say about integrations today is that we have also migrated, let's say, or implemented in the documentation across with other improvements, a mirror of what we do in the code in the cloud. So now, for example, this is the experience that you will get when you get to VictoriaMetrics documentation. You will be able to just check and create all the snippets by yourself, and in the this is an attempt again to try to make things easy for you. For example, in this example, I was showing OpenTelemetry, which is an awesome project that I love, but sometimes it can be very hasty to, okay, how do I create all these files? How do I put things easy? With this one, and we got good feedback about it, we just give you the collector the collector configuration, so you can just copy paste and move on with your life, right? If you are interested about this, we Alexander and myself, we wrote a blog post, so it's on the blog page, so don't miss it. With this, as you have seen and Artem was mentioning earlier, there's been a full rework on documentation, how it looks like. And in cloud, we are also putting a lot of attention to this. And you can find more sections, and hopefully everything is improving, as we move on. So yeah, there are new pages as well. And those was like big things. Also, if you were listening earlier today, there's this super cool metrics statistics API, and now it's supported. This means that it's just enabled for you to use, and in the UI it's also there. You can check like, hey, which metrics are not used. We will work more to make it like more available to you in terms of in the UI, super easy. But right now it's just available. We upgraded the instances, so they all have this version with it enabled, and so you can go ahead and test it. And yeah, and I also wanted to mention that the team's been working to improve some fixes in alerting, the user experience there, and regular, like improvements, security updates, and so forth. Just an update worth to mention. We have enabled TLS 1.3 in our load balancers, and that improves security policies, and we believe it's time to now deprecate super old TLS version. So you can expect that to happen like in 3 months, more or less. And yeah, we will write a blog post, and we will contact all of you. There are no much folks using it, just some of them. We will contact you and tell you, hey, go to a more secure standard version, right? And that's it for what happened. But what's coming, as you may already know or think, if you were thinking about this, of course, VictoriaLogs is coming to cloud. And how close are we? Well, I was super surprised while I was preparing what I just mentioned, I was checking and I saw Mr. Mitro Kozlov had one instance deployed, and then I could play with it. And we're pretty close. And so right now, this is how it will look like. If you are familiarized with our UI, you will also see some improvements we are doing. This doesn't stop. We will continue. And this is not a metrics instance. This is a logs instance. Of course, this is in our staging and testing environment. And it's kind of cool because I got excited. And then when I was with some friends discussing, and I was telling, hey, we're doing this, and I showed them my mobile phone, and they gave me super good feedback about the UI as well, like how easily you can save queries and track your history. That's something that not everybody has, and the open source team has put a lot of effort in that, and it's super cool and easy to just navigate all your logs and filter them and all of that. So kudos to everyone involved, and as you can see, this is coming. This is very close. Just some words on what I just mentioned. And we are also enabling super soon a new region in Asia. We are expanding in Singapore this time. But in case you need a new region, just let us know. We will make that happen soon enough. And we, as I said, we are also doing major UI changes. As you can see now with metrics, then logs, and we will have later traces if you've been taking a look. Then our UI needs to also reflect that, and we are going. The VictoriaMetrics Cloud platform is will undergo a lot of changes to show everything that we can do. And that's everything I had. Again, pass by the platform. It's super easy to get started and take a look. And thank you. That was what I wanted to share today.
Thank you so much. Amazing, especially about logs. You did not mention ATA for logs. So that's a good question.
That's a good question, and I don't have an answer. But what I would say, I just don't want to push the team. As you can see, they're doing a super great job. It's going to be this year for sure. I mean, I am already amazed. I thought like I wouldn't imagine we were at this going to be at this stage today. So yeah, I think it's going to be soon.
Perfect. We have one question. Where customer users can find changelog for cloud?
That's a great question. And we are actually having internal discussions from time to time about this. So today, the approach is what we do is every quarter, I am writing a blog post with the team and publishing it like this one, right? With all these updates, so you can read it. We can also, we are evaluating putting the same information in the changelog in the docs. And we may do it soon because I see we have interest on that.
Nice, thank you. And last question from my side. I'm really subjective on this topic, and I want to have this feature. So we have tracking ingested metrics API. I talked about that previously. You have option to add recording and alerting rules. When I will have an option to see non-unqueried, non-queryable results of the recording rules. So I have recording rules. You evaluate it every X minutes, seconds. Definitely that will be some usage for metrics behind it. But recording will produce the metrics. And if these metrics has zero inqueryable part, I want to delete this recording rule when I have this feature in cloud.
I have a little bird telling me right now that he's working on that. So I guess you will have it very soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know that currently it's achievable in open source VictoriaMetrics in cloud by doing 2 calls, or if you use common recording rules named with a semicolon, you just can call semicolon, and that's the result. But the pure integration will be awesome, especially if it's not a Prometheus compatible naming pattern, and you, for example, say data through OpenTelemetry or Telegraph. Some highlights. Please don't limit yourself to ingestion protocols. If you send data to VictoriaMetrics Cloud using any of the protocols like Graphite, Influx, OpenTelemetry, you still can use relabeling. You still can use alerts and recording rules for that, and streaming aggregation as well. Okay.
Yeah, totally. We will.
Okay. Thank you, Jose. Thank you for your presentation. I see a couple questions regarding Victoria traces that you mentioned previously. We answered them during our AMA session. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And Alex, I believe it's your turn.
Yep.
Oh. Denise here. Oh, I accidentally added Denise instead of your slides. Yeah. Please go ahead. And as I mentioned previously, we have some exciting news.
Yeah, I have very exciting news, but I have no too much time because we already moved outside our time range of 2 hours. So I will try to be quick with news about VictoriaLogs. And the main news is that VictoriaLogs cluster, which was long awaited, is generally available and is ready for production. Let's look at some features of VictoriaLogs cluster. The first feature is that it has very simple architecture. This architecture is similar to VictoriaMetrics, and it consists of storage nodes and insert nodes. Insert nodes accept any logs in any format, which is supported by VictoriaLogs right now, and evenly spreads these logs across available storage nodes. And from another side, there are select nodes, like in VictoriaMetrics, and these select nodes accept select queries in LogsQL format and sends these queries to all the storage nodes. All the storage nodes calculate some results on these queries and then return back intermediate results to select node, and select node performs the final calculations and return back the response. And very important thing is that all these components do not know about each other. I mean that storage nodes do not know about each other. They do not communicate with each other. As select nodes also do not know about each other and do not communicate with each other. The only communication is shown on this screen. Insert nodes know about all the storage nodes, and select nodes know about all the storage nodes. So that's all about the cluster. That's a very simple architecture. So the next important feature is that VictoriaLogs cluster is very easy to configure and manage and troubleshoot because of this same simple architecture. It is almost zero config. This means that you can run storage nodes with default configurations without tuning them on any hardware, and it automatically scales its performance and capacity for available resources such as CPU, memory, and disk I/O, disk space. And insert nodes and select nodes require only a single command line flag, which is named storage node, like in VictoriaMetrics. And this command line flag accepts a list of addresses of storage nodes to communicate with. And the querying path is completely decoupled from the data ingestion path. This means that this path can be scaled independently and should not interfere with each other. And this helps with the reliability of the whole system. VictoriaLogs cluster has 0 external dependencies on external components. It doesn't use any fancy caches or services which can go down. It only contains of 3 types of components, which I showed on the previous screen. And VictoriaLogs cluster has exactly zero magic. Everything is very simple. Every configs are configured directly via command line flags. And all the components is very easy to debug because of zero magic. You always know the state of your cluster, and you can isolate and detect any issues and quickly fix them. Another important feature is very high flexibility of cluster architecture. What does it mean? This means that every select and insert node can communicate with its own subset of storage nodes, and these subsets of storage nodes can overlap or can be completely different. This allows building clusters where you dedicate some storage nodes for different retentions, for example, or different tenants, for example, and these subsets of storage nodes can have completely different configuration options and can run on completely different hardware, which fits for the particular workloads. And select nodes can query not only other storage nodes, but they can query other select nodes. And this opens the door for multi-level call cluster setups when a single select node can query multiple other select nodes, which can query other storage, other clusters. And this allows building global querying view over multiple clusters. And insert nodes also can send data not only to storage nodes, but to other insert nodes in the same way. And this also always building multi-level cluster setups with flexible architecture. Another important feature of cluster VictoriaLogs is that it is backwards and forwards compatible with single node VictoriaLogs. What does it mean? This means that select component can query single node VictoriaLogs, because actually single node VictoriaLogs is the same as storage node. They are interchangeable, and actually that's the same binary with the same configuration. Also, every storage node can be queried directly as a single node VictoriaLogs. You don't need, you can skip this select node and query directly every storage node and query data which is stored on the storage node. Insert nodes also can send data to a single node VictoriaLogs because of the same reason that single node VictoriaLogs is actually the same as storage node. It has the same data format and it has the same binary actually. And this means also that storage node can accept logs directly via all the support protocols which are supported by single node VictoriaLogs. You can send data directly to storage nodes without intermediate insert node. And this allows very easy migration, enables very easy migration between single node and cluster. You just put insert node and select node in front of your single node VictoriaLogs instance, and that's it. You have the minimal cluster with a single storage node. And later you can scale this cluster by adding other storage nodes. And the last important feature is that VictoriaLogs cluster allows you scaling to petabytes of logs, because a single node version of VictoriaLogs can scale to terabytes or to tens of terabytes of logs, and many users already reach such scale. But it cannot scale to petabytes of logs, and that's the main reason why VictoriaLogs cluster has been appeared in order to be able to scale further. So how to scale further? Just add storage nodes to the cluster and instantly get more capacity and higher performance for both data ingestion and for querying. And the capacity scales linearly with the available resources at storage nodes, and query performance also scales linearly for most of typical queries, but can scale non-linearly for some complicated queries. And a single VictoriaLogs cluster can easily scale to hundreds of storage nodes, and so it can handle petabytes of logs easily. So I would recommend you trying VictoriaLogs cluster right now. Do not wait for some other features. You can play with VictoriaLogs cluster in your home lab or staging environment. Just start reading the documentation of VictoriaLogs and try starting this VictoriaLogs components manually in your home lab and see how it goes. Feel how it works. And after that, you can install VictoriaLogs cluster or single version in Kubernetes production. We provide Helm chart, which installs cluster version of VictoriaLogs in Kubernetes, and it also provides an option to automatically collect all the logs from all the Kubernetes containers in this cluster. Let's look at other things which were added in the second quarter of this year in VictoriaLogs. There are a lot of improvements and bug fixes in the built-in web UI. I will not mention them, but there are a lot of them, and so I recommend you upgrading VictoriaLogs to the latest available release in order to get these bug fixes and improvements. For one example of such improvement is the addition of live tailing in the built-in web UI. That's you can type any query, LogsQL query, and get results for this query in real time in web UI. Now there are a lot of small improvements and bug fixes in VictoriaLogs plugin for Grafana. So I also recommend you regularly updating this VictoriaLogs plugin in order to keep up to date with all these bug fixes and new features. There are many small improvements in LogsQL. I also do not mention them because there are a lot of them and they are mostly boring for everybody. But one of these improvements is the ability to remove ANSI color codes from logs at data ingestion stage and during querying. VictoriaLogs provides this functionality, and this allows you improving usability of querying for such logs, because ANSI color codes, when they are not removed from logs, then the final result might be not so good, because these ANSI color codes generate some garbage chars. And another important improvement is that VictoriaLogs improves data ingestion performance by up to 10 times for across protocols which accept small batches or single log entries per each request. So that's very significant improvement. And that's why I recommend you regularly update VictoriaLogs. This is very easy. Just follow this link and read how to upgrade to the latest release. There are some upcoming features which are in work right now. The first upcoming feature is the ability to use wildcard prefixes in LogsQL. For example, you could write, you will be able to write such queries. This query copies all the log fields which start with foo to log fields which start with bar. The second query moves, renames all the log fields which start with foo to log fields which start to bar. The next query just drops all the log fields which do not start with foo and keeps only log fields which start with foo. And the last query just drops all the log fields which start with some prefix. And also we are working right now on the feature which will allow you searching across log fields with some prefix. Like in this case, it searches for all the logs across all the log fields which start with foo prefix. Another important upcoming feature is VL agent. This is an agent or proxy which accepts logs over all the data ingestion protocols supported by VictoriaLogs and then replicates them among the configured remote storage systems. It also can buffer data per each remote storage system locally if this remote storage system is unavailable, and then backfill this data when this remote storage system returns back. So the functionality of VL agent is similar to VM agent in this case. Later, VL agent will gain the ability to filter and modify logs before sending them to the remote storage, and this filtering and modifying of logs will be able to make it distinct per each remote storage. And this filtering will use LogsQL for filtering and for modification of the logs. It will use LogsQL pipes. You could use LogsQL pipes for transformation of these logs before sending them to remote storage. And later, probably VL agent will gain support for ability to collect logs from Kubernetes, for example, from Kubernetes containers and from other environments. But that's the later stage. Why this VL agent is needed in the first place? Because we need to build this multi-zone Helm chart for highly available VictoriaLogs cluster setup. What does it mean? This means that this Helm chart will deploy multiple independent clusters of VictoriaLogs in different availability zones, and it will automatically set up data ingestion for these independent clusters via this VL agent component, and then it will set up automatic querying of these multiple clusters via mouse component, and it will allow you performing maintenance tasks on these independent clusters without disturbing data ingestion paths and querying paths. This is similar to the Helm chart for VictoriaMetrics, which we have. You can read about this Helm chart on this link. And this Helm chart actually is used by VictoriaMetrics Cloud. And we are very happy with this architecture. The next important feature is Victoria Traces. It has been appeared from a proof of concept which is made by one of our engineers, Jay Kuhn. He decided that it would be great to try using VictoriaLogs for traces. And it has been appeared that it really works, and the end results are quite good. The performance for both data ingestion and for querying of this proof of concept is on par and even better than performance for other storage engines for traces. So I recommend you reading this blog post if you didn't read it yet. And probably Victoria Traces will be released, will be available for production probably later in this year or on the beginning of the next year. Let's look at VictoriaLogs roadmap. Since we implemented this VictoriaLogs cluster feature, which was the top priority feature, the next top priority feature right now is the object storage. What is object storage? What does it mean? It means that VictoriaLogs will be able to store historical data to object storage by making these automated backups, and these backups will be available for querying, transparent querying. So you don't need to query to upload these backups to some other storage and to query them. They will be automatically queried by VictoriaLogs. And some users ask us for the feature which will be able to completely disable local storage and to store immediately all the ingested logs into object storage. Probably this feature will be implemented later. Let's see. Another feature which has quite high priority is the ability to use Elasticsearch UI for querying VictoriaLogs. Probably we'll work on it after object storage will be ready. What's next? Don't waste your time. Don't wait for object storage or other features. Just try VictoriaLogs right now and get the power which it gives to you. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your hard work on VictoriaLogs cluster. Thank you, team that released and developed the ecosystem around it. So, for your information, we officially released VictoriaLogs cluster. What it means? That's not only VictoriaLogs cluster. That's also Helm charts, operator support, documentation, and all the things. So you can run it right now. You can do the normal stuff. It's production ready. So please go and try it. I have one question to you, and after that, we have a lot of the questions in chat. We can cover them just after first my question. Tell me required resources for handling 10 terabytes of uncompressed logs per day. Just guess. Is it single? Is it cluster? And retention of 7 days.
The ingestion rate of 10 terabytes of uncompressed logs, of typical logs, such as Kubernetes logs, for example, can be handled easily by a single node version of VictoriaLogs, I would say. But obviously, this single node of VictoriaLogs instance must run on some beefy hardware with tens of CPU cores and hundreds of gigabytes of memory, but it will work good. I think that it can work with such logs. But this is my just wild guess because everything depends on the shape of these logs, on the type of these logs, because some logs can compress better and require less CPU and memory, and other logs have not so good compression and require more CPU and memory. That's why it's hard to provide good guess for these amounts of logs. But according to my estimation, it should work on a single node version of VictoriaLogs.
Perfect, thank you. Alex mentioned compression and some metrics around VictoriaLogs. We have regular VictoriaLogs dashboard for single node and cluster version, where you can find all information there. Highly encourage you to install it. One of the especially good part of this dashboard, that's panel about compression ratio, the difference between uncompressed logs and what we store on the disk. In the worst case scenario, we see 10 times. In the good case scenario, we see 40, 50. In the best case scenario, so 120 times compression ratio. That means that 1 gigabyte of compressed data equals to 120 gigabytes of uncompressed. And in your presentation, you covered a lot of the questions from audience. Let me remove your slides and let me present these questions. First one. What about S3 and VictoriaLogs? I know that's in progress. So any words on that or in progress?
Yeah, I already covered this in the presentation. Yeah, we're working on object storage for VictoriaLogs. It will be compatible with S3 and with Google Cloud and Azure, so with every public object storage. Yeah, no other information right now.
Okay, thank you. Next question, any ETA for BL agent release? I can cover it. You can find open pull requests for VL agent in VictoriaMetrics repository. It's about 2 weeks old. We are going to merge it soon. So what is soon? Next month? Something like that. Maybe this month.
I believe that the VL agent should be measured on the next week.
Or even better.
I'm more optimistic than you. Let's see.
Okay. Okay, that's a good one. We have some questions regarding traces. Let's leave it to AMA session because this session is more dedicated for logs. So traces, Grafana. Okay, all other questions, let's leave it for AMA session because they're more related to other topics. Yeah. Thank you so much. Let me remove this comment. Let me add Mark, remove Alex and Denise. That's so time for community news. Mark, Denise, please go ahead. I believe I need to add Denise slides. And let me do that.
Perfect. Yeah, those are some tough acts for us to follow. That's glad our community is so strong that we have good things to share here at the end too.
Oh. Yeah. So a few words about our community updates. Let's start. So as always, we share some stats of downloading for VictoriaMetrics software. It is not only VictoriaMetrics. It is about all software that we produce. So it is VictoriaMetrics, VictoriaLogs, our operator, our data sources, MCP clients as well. So our community keeps growing and growing fastly. So another big quarter, another nice numbers. This quarter we got I can say that the bigger number of participants if I ever saw. So thank you our community for let's keep in touch. And last month we celebrating 14Ks on GitHub stars. It really nice numbers, and I can say that if I don't wrong, 4,000 of stars we get just for the latest year. So another thank you for your community, for the team, and let's get 20K till the end of this year. Fingers crossed.
Before that little hell yeah guy gets too old, right?
Yeah. And Mark, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so we've been attending a lot more events over the last 6 to 8 months, and really dividing it into, we've some of our larger events like going to KubeCon and these types where we're meeting some fantastic people, sharing what we're doing. And we're also going to smaller local based Linux events, which we have some information on here, but it's really about, we're trying to get out to where our users are and share the story. And what we found is really interesting is when we go here, a lot of people have the problems, but they haven't heard about our solution yet. So it's really exciting to be able to go out there and go, oh, you have that problem? Here's a prescription. And we've been lucky enough to have our teams at KubeCon EMEA. We were in KubeCon in Salt Lake City recently and just wrapped up 2 local Linux fests here as well. So if anyone has any suggestions on where they think VictoriaMetrics should be, love to hear from our community, because we want to be where you, our users, are. So, yeah. This is the QR code on the screen. We had one of our teammates made a fantastic sort of highlights video of our experience at KubeCon in Europe, and definitely encourage you, if you haven't seen that, to take a look at it. I think it really captures the essence of what our team brings to these events and to our software as a whole. So if we hadn't seen you there, for sure. And I see, come to Texas, please. If there's an event we should be at, let us know. So one of the recent events we did was Linux Fest Northwest. It used to be a very large event in the before times. That's the COVID days. Some new people have put it together, and we went. We had Dima, his wife Tamara, Matthias, myself, and Shelby helping, and it was a fantastic event where we got to interact with students and young people who were just getting into the metrics and logging world and didn't really even know about what are these platforms, all the way through interacting with people from really large organizations that had problems that we can solve. So again, just highlighting these to say, if there's somewhere you want to see us, let us know, or we'd love to have somebody even represent us at somewhere possibly. So, and as you can see in the middle here, Ted almost, who's one of our leaders in SE, almost won the best dressed in the event, but unfortunately Walter the dog wore a VictoriaMetrics shirt for a few days in Charlotte, North Carolina on the weekend, and he won the award. But again, this was a great one. We traveled, from me from Vancouver, BC. I wrote an article on LinkedIn. You can see it was horrible getting there, but well worth the pain. And again, we just had a chance to share with a really engaging, exciting community and got a lot of feedback. And that's what we're there for, right? Is to share what is it we're doing. And we want to hear from you to make sure that what we think we're building lines up with what our community and users need. So again, please reach out in our community Slack and share any ideas of where we can be to help expand what we do to people who otherwise won't hear about us. And our tech talks. This is, well, I'm selfishly promoting this one. Matthias and I do a monthly tech talk in the last Thursday of every month. The life of me can't remember how many we've done now, but it's been at least 5, and they've turned out quite good. We're doing companion blogs and making sure we send follow-up information or make it available so you can follow along with the work we're doing. We are going to be in June of this month on the 26th. We're going to be doing a talk on AI and ML and how can it help in observability. And from earlier talks today where we saw what was happening with VM Anomaly and MCP and incorporating into VictoriaMetrics Cloud, there's a lot that we can do in there. So stay tuned for that. We certainly want to be doing more of these and make sure they're on target for you. So if we're doing ones that aren't interesting, let us know that too. We've got feelings, but we can work around it. So,
yeah, and I can say so a big thank you for Mark and Matthias, who helped Roman for their first hour feature and community call that was held last month. And a little news for you that we plan to have a feature and community call for every month. So nothing can be missed for you.
we'll be like a live change log is what we're doing.
Yeah. And a few things about our about upcoming talks that we will participate. maybe there will be a bigger list a bit later. We will share this information in our profiles in social media. Let's keep in touch, and as always, read and visit our VictoriaMetrics blog. We posted a huge number of good blog posts about Go from Fongli, and we always keep updated our investigation in observability world. So there is a little piece of our blog post about observability. We try to be in the center of observability and keep you updated. And we try to optimize VictoriaMetrics to help you with your monitoring and your observability stack. And as I said before, we are planning to have Tech Talk number 6. It will be held in 1 week for the next Thursday, I think. Yes, Mark.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's so, yeah, we're excited to put that one on and see everybody in the community virtually and online in ours. So yeah, Dennis, thank you so much for sharing these updates. It's awesome, man.
Okay. And I think that is all from our side, from community perspective. I have only one thing that I need to add, that we have planned to release a VictoriaMetrics community website with community project as our MCP servers, VictoriaMetrics for IoT, like Home Assistant. But keep in touch with us. I think we'll share it on the next week. And as always, ask anything in area of our communities. We will try to help you, and let's do VictoriaMetrics better.
Thank you so much. You actually answered all of my questions, and that were when or what time, location, date people can meet VictoriaMetrics team, what conference or events. Can you share any plans regarding our trips and maybe some conferences? Yep.
I think that KubeCon for sure, KubeCon North America this fall for sure. We have some plans to have some offline meetups, in-person meetups this fall too. We will share more information, I think, at the end of this summer. And as always, we have our groups and meetup.com that we keep updated. So just subscribe it and you will see our updates. So I think that we will have more and more offline meetups till the end of this year.
Thank you so much. And also let me provide some piece of information. As you probably saw, we released MCP Servers under VictoriaMetrics Community Organization. What this means? Like, do we support it? Yes, we do. Alex Marshalov, crucial member of Cloud team and MCP Servers, they are supported by VictoriaMetrics team, but they are part of the community organization, and we encourage you to contribute there. So, and there are about 12 different projects right now. Please take a look and provide feedback, and you're really welcome to contributions. If you want to transfer anything to this repository, please let us know. Of course, that will be easy, and of course you will still be a maintainer of these projects, and we try help you with contributions, visibility, and stuff like that. Thank you Oh, no. Last things. Unfortunately, that's also random questions from my side. Alex Marshalov presented really good overview of MCP server. You're going to have tech talk about AI. Can we expect live demo?
I'm going to put Matthias and him on the spot and say, of course, yes, we're always shooting for a live demo. The demo gods, we've given all the sacrifices they need, I think, to this point, so we should be in good shape. So I may have cursed it with that, but yeah, we definitely want to try to do that so we can see hands-on and then supply some lab stuff so people can follow along and see how it worked.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's time. I know that we spent 40 minutes more than expected, and I believe there will be at least 10, 20 minutes. So let us start our AMA session, and I'm going to invite all people here who are presented. Yeah. And we have a lot of the questions, and let us cover some of them. First one, it's, I don't know about this question, but let us have some debugging section on live. So Alex, question to you. PXX asked about implicit query convention. And in query something like average over time, sum 0, 0, 1 multiply the metrics, we see confused and wrong data. Can it be related to implicit query conversion? If it's so, how to fix this query and be aware of things like that?
Yes. Yes, this bug, not bug, but feature, is related to implicit query conversion performed by VictoriaMetrics. In this case, VictoriaMetrics implicitly converts this query into subquery, Prometheus subquery, and adds this square brackets, implicit square brackets for average over time function. And if you don't like such implicit query conversions, so we have a solution. VictoriaMetrics provides a command line flag. I didn't remember how it's named. Search disable implicit conversion. And you can pass this flag to VictoriaMetrics, so VM storage, and it will disable implicit conversions, and will provide you error like Prometheus does for such queries which miss some square brackets or other things.
Okay, thank you so much. That was live debug session. And yeah, recommendation, please set this query. You will have less unpredictable results. Next question.
Regarding this flag, it is actually documented in documentation for subqueries in VictoriaMetrics, but this documentation isn't so visible for majority of people. So that's why I think that we need to improve to put this flag more explicitly into other places where users could read about this.
Okay, thank you. Next question about Victoria traces. And actually, let me cover. Victoria traces was additional session. But we work on that. That's in separate branch in VictoriaMetrics repository. That will be purely open source solution like VictoriaLogs and VictoriaMetrics. Of course, we're going to add integration to cloud as we do for all our products, but we are open source company and will be open source company, and open source is an essential thing for us. So Victoria Traces definitely will be open sourced. You can run it even right now run my command, get the binaries and run it. We are going to release it, and that will be the standard release procedures for us, where there will be binaries, packages, documentation, Helm chart operators, and so on, so on, so on. In terms of the timeline, some of the things will be done quite soon. That's the matter of weeks, months, like initial things. But more enhancement, ecosystem, we are going to release it later. Next question, based on VL and is Victoria Traces based on the VictoriaLogs? And yes, you're right. I highly recommend to read the most recent blog post from Jikun about his journey and idea to create Victoria Traces. We use VictoriaLogs as a storage because Traces is it's just a log message, and we also going to provide OpenTelemetry as a ingestion protocol and the Jagger API for the querying of the data. So that's, and the initial version will have this functionality.
Yeah, I would say that this Victoria Traces proof of concept isn't based on Jagger. It doesn't use Jagger source code at all. It just provides APIs for Jagger, so Jagger could query VictoriaLogs.
So, sorry, yeah, that was a mistake from my side. Thank you for clarifying this thing. Yeah, it's purely based on the VictoriaLogs as a storage and as well as that API and internal level. But yeah, we integrated with Jagger API and provide option to use Jagger as a UI and as well Grafana plugin for Jagger to query the data. So everything will be there. Next thing, question about VictoriaLogs and data replication.
Good question.
Yeah.
I think that the answer was already mentioned in my talk when I was talking about this VL agent component, and this essential component for this data replication in VictoriaLogs. And we will implement this Helm chart for multi-IZ cluster setup of VictoriaLogs, and this actually this high availability data replication scheme, which we recommend all our users. It's much better compared to application level replication, like in VictoriaMetrics, when we'll insert component replicates data across storage nodes in the single cluster. Why it is better? Because it conserves resources. You don't need to store the same logs or samples in the same cluster, and you don't need to deduplicate these logs or samples during query time. So it reduces resource usage and increases performance, and also it simplifies maintenance tasks because in the majority of cases when you need to remove some storage node or insert node or select node from the cluster, these cases are related to maintenance tasks such as configuration updates or upgrades most of the time. And scheme with multi-IZ clusters, high availability scheme, allows you performing these tasks very easily without worrying that something will go wrong and you will not be able to fix this. You can just remove some traffic from easy data ingestion traffic or select traffic from one of this cluster and then perform maintenance tasks for as much as you want, for a long time, without any worries that something will go wrong. And after that, return back this cluster to the scheme for data backfilling, and after that, return this cluster for querying after backfilling is complete.
Thank you for that. Yeah, the main reason for VL agent, like you can do it with other log shippers right now, with Vector, with Fluent, Beat, and D, so you can replicate the data. But we spotted that not all of them supports buffering on the disk, and I think it's one of the greatest features of VM agent. And also we have streams notion, time fields, and that's why we thought that VL agent is a good.
Yeah, and another important reason why we need VL agent is that there are no existing data collectors which support all the data ingestion protocols which VictoriaLogs support. So we need to implement our own agent which supports the same set of protocols like VictoriaLogs.
I probably should add this question on our daily sync, but what protocol are we going to use in VL agent for communicating with VL inserts?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's already a resolved question, and the answer is that it will use the similar protocol which is used for communication between insert nodes and storage nodes.
Okay,
it's very similar.
Okay, so internal one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice. Also, one related question to VictoriaLogs about your plans industry. Is current version of VictoriaLogs compatible with the future feature of S3?
Yes, it will be compatible when VictoriaLogs will gain support for object storage, for storing historical data to object storage. Then you will be able to upgrade your existing VictoriaLogs instances and configure them to store historical data into object storage, and they will automatically archive this historical data to object storage.
Thank you. We have only 3 questions. If you have any, feel free to ask in chat. And all these questions are more broad one rather than specific. One from Ari. That's not a question, that's just a statement. And that's finally traces. And we talked about a couple months back about traces in LinkedIn in the previous meetup. Yeah, thank you again for Jay-Kun for doing this first POC, successful POC, and this allows us to release Victoria. Still, we are not yet there, but we are going to release Victoria Traces. That will be proper announcement and all things around that. But yeah, that's really nice, and that's really good that VictoriaLogs storage supports traces, and we can change something on the really core level in terms of the indexing, in how we query the data, and that will be in the future. But for initial version, VictoriaLogs is awesome storage for traces. But that doesn't mean that we are not going to write special traces storage. Not this year, but yeah, maybe. Next question. When we will see Grafana from VictoriaMetrics? Extremely nice question. Extremely nice question. The answer, I will be frank with you as much as possible. We are a backend company. We do really great in terms of the VM UI in cloud. You can check. We spent a lot of time on UI, UX. We try to provide really nice functionality there, but we much better on backend side. So not right now. Maybe in the future. Not right now. But question is awesome. And the last question: do we plan to release a replacement to Alert Manager? I also can cover the things that will be. Okay, let me do it. So that will be some side information. I believe, my guessing, so if you run a questionnaire internally and ask engineers if you have some free time what component do you want to replace? That will be Alert Manager. However, Alert Manager is a good piece of the software. We are not going to write the replacement of Alert Manager because Alert Manager works good and nicely. Can Alert Manager be improved? Yes, of course. And there are really well-known areas where you can do it, but still Alert Manager works great and provides the functionality that serves and solves a lot of the problems, user problems. So nice to have things, but not mandatory. So that's what I can tell about Alert Manager. And again, it's part of the Prometheus community, and I think it's an awesome tool and supported by great people. So use Alert Manager, but if you want a replacement, do hackathon inside the company and release something on GitHub. Yeah, any questions so far about anything? I think no, and I believe we can wrap up our call. Folks, thank you so much for participating in the call. I know that we are like 2-3 hours instead of 2, but that were great topics. See you soon on our Tech Talks and next meetup in 3 months, virtual meetup. Thank you so much.
Thanks all.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.